It's crunch time here on The Jump. The Sixers beat the Pacers last night, guys, on the road without Joel Embiid, who was out due to a sore back. It was their first win without Embiid this season. So, Zach, what did that tell you about the Sixers?
You know what I like? 21 points for Ben Simmons on 9 of 12 shooting. Didn't look afraid to get to the foul line. That Ben Simmons, the one we've seen for the last 10 days or so since that fourth quarter against Boston, they get that guy and the Tobias Harris that's played this season, plus Joel Embiid. They're a problem in the playoffs. They're a threat to win the East, and Ben Simmons is the litmus test.
Absolutely. And look, I was more impressed with their defense, the defensive side of things, and not just last night, but overall, Philly has been locked in, and they have a couple of wing defenders that don't get enough credit. Everybody praised Steph Curry for his scoring and shooting ability, but he's a pest on the defensive end. And we already know what Ben Simmons brings to the table, a guy that arguably could be the defensive player of the year. He is the anchor, but I just love how guys are buying into their roles. Doc Rivers has these guys being stars in their roles, and I love watching this 76er team play.
Yeah, that's such a good point, Perk. You really like the way the front office with Daryl Morey and Elton Brand has worked hand in hand with Doc Rivers to do two things, right? So they changed personnel a bit to let the players that they have be featured more, have more space, more shooting around their two main guys. But then Doc has also, as you pointed out, he is getting the best out of everyone, right? He's getting the best out of Joel that we have ever seen. He has definitely told Ben, hey, you just have to be Ben Simmons. You don't have to be a three-point shooting machine. Just be yourself, play your game. He's getting the best out of Tobias Harris again, which we saw here in LA. And it's just fun to see guys succeed the way they can play instead of trying to be something they're not. So that's one of the things I like most about watching the Sixers right now. It's also been fun watching the New York Knicks, guys. And look, not everybody in the sort of reconfigured way they are approaching the game has been getting playing time, right? You know Tom Thibodeau. He plays his big guys big minutes. That doesn't leave minutes for some of the other guys. So Dennis Smith Jr. has asked to go down to the G League, where he will play down in the Orlando bubble with their affiliate. Smith, of course, one of the key pieces in the Porzingis trade back in 2019, just hasn't gotten the opportunity he wanted this season, and so he wants to play more often and keep his skills up. Perk, what is your reaction to that?
Well, I actually love it. A smart move by Dennis Smith Jr. to make sure that he get his reps up, because he's not going to be able to get those type of reps up in practice. And for him not to put his pride aside and say, you know what, I'm going to go down to the G League to make sure I stay sharp. Also, go down to the G League to prove to other organizations that you still got it. It's still an audition, so that you're not just sitting on the bench for the New York Knicks, so other teams can say, you know what, I might need a trade for this guy, and he can come over here and get minutes for us.
Yeah, I think it's great that the Knicks granted his request. And, you know, as Perk said, we're long past the point where there's something to be ashamed of going to the G League or something like that. I mean, good on Dennis Smith for saying, I want to play. The basketball is good. Yeah, I got to live in a bubble. That probably kind of stinks. But I want to see if my game's, in condition to get ready for the NBA again. And there's only one way, in his opinion, he can do that, and that's to get in games. So good on everybody for making this work.
Perk, when you played with the G League team, how did you decide I'm comfortable with that? Because I still want to do more in the NBA.
Well, the thing is, one, you put your pride aside. I was a 13-year vet. But when you get down there, it's such a humbling feeling. And it makes you work hard, because you're watching so many guys, Rachel, that I'm going to give you a quick story. We played in the Cavs arena. The Cavs were on the road, and we played the Chicago Bulls. And I remember us walking into the locker room, and my teammates were sitting up here really taking pictures and posting it on Instagram of LeBron James' locker, Kevin Love locker. We got blown out, but just them being in the locker room, I saw the joy on them guys' faces. And I'm going to tell you something. A lot of guys in the G League pass up six-figure jobs overseas just to get a 10-day. All they want is a jersey to say that, you know what, I made it to the league, whether it was for 1 month, and it was a humbling experience for me. When I got back to the NBA, I treasured everything from the training staff to the facilities to the private jets, the 5-star hotels. I didn't take anything for granted. It was the best thing that happened for me in my career for us playing basketball. very humbling.
I love it, Perk. I love that attitude, and I think it's going to be real good for Dennis Smith Jr. too. So kudos to him for doing the mature thing. All right, let's get to Lamelo Ball because he had a career-high 27 points to go along with 9 assists, 5 rebounds, 4 steals, and an impressive win over the Bucks on Saturday. Perk, Lamelo Ball has come off the bench in all 20 of his games. Do you think it is time to start him, or do you like the way he's being managed?
No, he should have been started, Rachel. Look, this kid has superstar written all over him. And this wasn't the first time that he's come off the bench and have helped the Charlotte Hornets win the game. He's done it all season long. Don't hold him back. Give him the keys to the Benz. He's ready. He's a game changer. He's ready for the bright lights, and he will be a future superstar. Come on, coach. Give him the keys. He's passed the driver's ed test.
I actually kind of like Charlotte slow playing it here. I mean, part of the reason Lamelo Ball, and by the way, Lamelo Ball is so fun to watch. He is must-watch TV already. There are very few players that have his kind of creativity. He just plays at a different beat than everyone else. But one of the reasons he's been successful is he gets to play against opposing benches. Mm-hmm. He gets to play when the Hornets are playing small ball with P.J. Washington at center or Miles Bridges at center. There's more space on the floor. There's no need to rush this. And by the way, Devontae Graham, he wants to start. Terry Rozier, he wants to start. Gordon Hayward, he's damn well starting. So someone is going to have to take a tough demotion. We get fixated on these things. The bottom line is he's playing great. They're easing him in. He's finishing games when he's on a roll. That's just as important, if not more, than starting games. And this is all just a matter of time. If he keeps playing like this, they're going to edge him up, and he's going to supplant Devontae Graham in the starting lineup. It's just a matter of when. I can't get too worked up about, that it's not happening right now.
No, I really like it, actually. I think it gives him a base layer of confidence. It kind of shows him how to move and do all of these things at an NBA level. And then, yes, of course, he will eventually move, but it's how you finish. It's not how you start, and he is finishing. All right, let's go to Diana Taurasi because the GOAT is staying in town. She has agreed to return to the Phoenix Mercury on a multi-year deal. Zach, I know that you may be the world's biggest Diana Taurasi fan. How do you feel?
I can't even talk rationally about Diana Taurasi. We should probably just move on to Perk because I can't talk rationally about Diana Taurasi. There are very few people now that I meet and I quiver in their very presence. And Diana Taurasi, the greatest of all time, one of the ultimate bad you-know-whats. I can't even talk about her. She's the best. She's the best to ever do it.
Is the best, and guess what? Must see TV. I mean, just watching her play the game of basketball is just such a joy to watch. Her competitive nature, her skill set, and look, I mean, her resume speaks for itself. GOAT status. So, congratulations on the new deal.
Woo, deserves all the money and then some. All right, guys, time for our League Pass Game of the Night. Busy night in the association, 10 games. Our producers are not allowed to pick anything on national television, so they chose Hornets Heat. Jimmy Butler returned to the lineup for the first time in 3 weeks over the weekend. He dropped 30 in a win. The Heat are now 7-12, though. So, Zach, do you think Jimmy's return in general is going to help turn this season around for Miami? Because we're past the quarter-way mark.
If it doesn't turn this season around, they got some serious problems. Yeah, so I think generally getting your best player back is going to help turn your season around. The Heat have plenty of time. Look, we knew the virus and the related contact tracing, it was going to torpedo a contender, whether it's Miami or Dallas, whoever you think it is. There was going to be a team that was just going to have the wind taken out of their sails. It's the Heat. And so now the Heat just have to fight for their season. They have to fight to get out of the play-in. They have to fight for a playoff seed that isn't such a huge disadvantage. But we know this team. We know they're going to fight. We know they're going to make a run and be patient and not really care all that much about who they play in the playoffs. But yeah, it's time for them to start digging out of that hole.
Look, Butler is going to turn the Heat season around. His tenacity, he gives them swag. He gives the Miami Heat that drip, like the younger generation says. What he brings to the table for us, his mindset. He gives guys like Tyler Hero confidence. Now Bam is not going to be on the island by himself, although he's been doing a great job for us trying to be a leader and uphold on the offensive end. Jimmy gives Tyler Hero, he gives Duncan Robinson. He gives those young guys that energy on the defensive end and offensive end, that confidence that they need. And he's the backbone. He's the guy that we witnessed go at the Lakers in the finals and talk his talk and say that it's not over with. That's giving the team confidence. So Jimmy returning to the Heat right now is crucial for the Miami Heat, and they're going to do good with him back in the lineup.
Now, Zach, we know that the Heat were holding open cap space for this coming offseason, maybe for Giannis. Of course, now Giannis is re-signed with Milwaukee. Do you expect them making any moves before the deadline?
They'll sniff around, sure. I mean, they were at the edges of other trade discussions too, but I don't see any big moves for them. You know, if and when Brad Beal ever becomes available, they'll certainly be one of the teams that kicks the tires. I'm not sure they have the juice to get it done. Some of their picks are encumbered. They always look at stars, so they'll never be out of those discussions.
Very interesting. Well, we will see how their season goes. Thank you to Zach. Thank you to Perk for joining me. We'll be back tomorrow because there's more basketball.